Hello everyone, today we are going to learn about strings are immutable in Java. Suppose we have a variable called Bob, string Bob. Bob is an object and it has a value into the string literals like boyfriend of Julia. So whenever this line of code will get executed, we will create Bob into the stack memory and this Bob will reference to the some value. Value is boyfriend of Julia. Okay, we know boyfriend of Julia is not present into the constant string pool area. So we will create a boyfriend of Julia value into the string constant pool area. Okay, and suppose we create another object like a string John equal to boyfriend of Julia. Okay, when we try to execute line number 7, what will happen? First interpreter will look for boyfriend of Julia value into the string constant pool area. Why? Because this value we are assigning through the string literals only. See, these are the string literals and this value we are assigning to John object using the string literals only. So first interpreter will check string constant pool area if this value is already present or not, and we are checking string constant pool area and this value is already present. Then interpreter, then compiler will not create a new object of new value of this boyfriend of Julia, and it will John will be created into the stack memory and it will just refer to the boyfriend of Julia. Okay, John will not have explicit object of this string boyfriend of Julia. Bob will be referring to the boyfriend of Julia object into the string constant string pool area, and John will also refer to the boyfriend of Julia value into the string constant pool area. Okay, and John. Let's run this program and see the output. Boyfriend of Julia is printed with, while printing the Bob object, and when we try to print the John object, boyfriend of Julia is getting printed. Okay, and suppose Bob break up with Julia, because this is a life and these kind of things happens in the life. So earlier Julia was having two boyfriends, Bob and John. Okay, then something happened, maybe John find out about the Bob, then Julia and Bob broke up. So we are assigning not boyfriend of Julia to the Bob object. Okay, so what will happen at line number 10? What will happen? We are saying that Julia and Bob broke up and now Bob is not a boyfriend of Julia. So earlier Bob was referencing to boyfriend of Julia, this value, but now the value has changed. Value is not boyfriend of Julia. But suppose if we change this value directly here into the string constant pool area, then it will refer to not boyfriend of Julia, and automatically John was also referring to that object only, that earlier object. So now John will automatically will refer to the not boyfriend of Julia, which is false because John is still boyfriend of Julia. Bob and Julia got broke up. John was pointing to this memory only, string constant pool, and we have updated this value at line number 10. Bob is not boyfriend of Julia. So John was pointing to this value only, this memory address, this area, this memory address only. So John should refer to the updated value, but it doesn't happen in the Java because in Java strings are mutable. So whenever at line number 10 we are updating the string value, then it will not update the existing value. Okay, it will not update the existing value like boyfriend of Julia. Instead of that, it will create a new object, new string object into the string constant pool area. Because not boyfriend of Julia is not present into the string constant pool area, it's not present into the string constant pool area. It will create a new object into string constant pool, not boyfriend of Julia, and this reference will be removed. Our Bob is not pointing to the boyfriend of Julia because Bob and Julia got broke up. So Bob doesn't have anything to do with the Julia. So we have updated at line number 20. Bob is not boyfriend of Julia, and Bob is referring to this new value, new updated string value. But John is still pointing to the earlier created value, boyfriend of Julia, because Julia and John are still into the relationship. So that is why John is still pointing to the earlier created object value, boyfriend of Julia. If we run this program, then first we will print boyfriend of Julia at line number 8, then line number 9 we will print boyfriend of Julia. So at line number 11, not a boyfriend of Julia will be printed. At line number 12, John is still boyfriend of Julia, so boyfriend of Julia will be printed. Let's run this program and see the output. See, here boyfriend of Julia, here also boyfriend of Julia printed. Then we updated. Bob is not a boyfriend of Julia. So at line number 11, Bob is not boyfriend of Julia. This is printed. Then John is boyfriend of Julia. So boyfriend of Julia is printed. So that is why strings are immutable. We are not changing this string value. Okay. We created this string value at line number 6. When we executed line number 6, that time we have created boyfriend of Julia string into the string constant pool area. Okay. Then John was pointing to the same value. See, John was pointing to the same value because we don't want to create a duplicate value into the string constant pool area. Okay. And at line number 8 and 9 we have printed boyfriend of Julia. At line number 10 we are updating the value which is present in the Bob. So we are saying update this value. But in Java, strings are immutable. Means we can't change, we can't modify this string. So we can't modify this string. So instead of modifying this string, we will create a new object string into the string constant pool area, which is not a boyfriend of Julia. At line number 10, not boyfriend of Julia will be created because we can't change or modify the existing string. Because if we modify this existing strings, then what will happen? Then John will also have this value, not boyfriend of Julia, which is wrong because John and Julia are still into the relationship. So that is why we can't change the existing string into the Java. Instead of that, new string will be created. See, not boyfriend of Julia, new string will be created, and Bob will refer to this new string. Bob will not refer to old value, boyfriend of Julia. At line number 10, with this update, now Bob will refer to this new string value. Okay. At line number 11, we are printing details about Bob. So Bob is not the boyfriend of Julia. At line number 12, we are printing John, and John is the boyfriend of Julia because they are still into the relationship. So that's why strings are immutable in Java. And suppose after some time, Julia finds another guy named Mark. Okay, so and Julia and Mark both goes into the relationship. So they are boyfriend and girlfriend because Julia find out a new guy, Mark. So so at line number 13, what will happen? Line number 13, we will search for boyfriend of Julia, this string constant into the string constant full memory. So into the heap memory, we have string constant full memory because we are creating this mark object using the string literals. Okay. So so we will check for this value and we will find this value, that this value is already present into the string constant pool area. So it will not create a new value for the mark. It will direct just assign this value to mark. Okay, so we will directly assign this value to mark. We will not create new object or new value into the string constant pool area. So now mark is referring to this existing created value, and John is also referring to existing created value. Bob is referring to newly created object value into the string constant pool area. Let's run this program and see the output. See, boyfriend of Julia is printed. Okay. So now again, suppose now again uh, this Bob goes into relationship with the Julia. Okay. Again, they are boyfriend and girlfriend. And currently we are storing Bob is not a boyfriend of Julia. So we have to update that value because now they are again into a relationship. So how we can do? We can do like this. Bob equal to boyfriend of Julia. This will work perfectly fine. But we know a problem. Now Bob will also refer to this value only. Okay, this this string constant pool area. Okay, Bob is also referring to boyfriend of Julia. But we know that Bob and Julia always always goes into the relationship, then break up, then again goes into relationship, then break up, then again goes into the relationship, then break up. So it is a bit headache for us. So what we can do, we can create object with the help of new keyword, new operator, and we can pass this value into this string constructor. Okay, string constructor. So earlier this was present, not boy, boyfriend of Julia. Earlier this was present into the string constant pool memory. So at line number 15, we are saying that uh, Bob is also a boyfriend of Julia. They again goes into the relationship, but here we are creating this boyfriend of Julia value using this new operator, new string. We are passing the boyfriend of Julia string value into the string constructor. So this time, with the help of new keyword, we will create a new object into the heap memory. Above us, these all are part of string constant pool area memory. And now we want to create a new memory into the heap, directly heap. String constant pool area is also part of heap memory only. And whenever we create a object using the literals, they will reside into the string constant pool area. But here, line number 15, we are creating an object using the new keyword. Okay, new operator, and we are passing this information into the string constructor. So at like whenever we execute line number 15, we are saying that Bob is boyfriend of Julia, but but have this information into the heap memory, not in the string constant memory. Okay, not full memory. Okay, so it will be created into the heap memory. Bob will refer to this boyfriend of Julia value. Boyfriend. Now this is referring to boyfriend of Julia value. Okay, boyfriend of Julia. So this reference will be omitted. This reference will be omitted. Okay, and because Bob is pointing to the new value, and okay, garbage collector will collect this value because this value doesn't have any reference. In the stake memory, none object is referring to this value. So this value will be collected by the garbage collector. And at line number 15, we are creating the new string object, new string value, boyfriend of Julia into the heap memory location. Okay. So this is how we can understand strings are immutable. Once they are created, they cannot be changed. Okay. Suppose again now Julia and Bob are into the relationship. Again breakup happens with them, and we update our value like not boyfriend of Julia. So and we want to have this value into the heap memory because we are creating this object, we are updating this Bob object with the help of new operator. So this will remain same. Okay, and we will create we will not look, not boyfriend of Julia is present into string constant full area, but we will not look for this value into the string constant full area, because we have new operator. It means we want to create a value into the heap memory itself. So not boyfriend, not boyfriend of Julia is present. So now Bob is pointing to not boyfriend of Julia into the heap memory location. Okay. So see, we are not updating this value. We are not updating, like directly updating not boyfriend of Julia. We are not updating. We are creating new object, new string object. Okay. So now Bob is not referring to boyfriend of Julia. Now Bob is referring to not a boyfriend of Julia. Okay. Bob is not a boyfriend of Julia. So we are not changing these values. Instead of changing these values, we are creating a new string object. Okay. Not boyfriend of Julia. And this value, we don't have any variable or object which is pointing to the boyfriend of Julia value, and we don't have any variable or object which is pointing to not boyfriend of Julia this value. So these two value will be collected by the garbage collector. Okay, garbage collector will collect these value because they don't have any reference. So this is how string works in the Java program. And yeah.